Hello, I'm Emma of Granola Gear, and I'm so excited to be chatting with you again today about more knitting. This week, I'm talking about how my spring and summer plans that I made at the beginning of the warm weather season ended up panning out for me. I'm going to go over my goals that I made at the beginning of the season, my plans, what did get knit, what didn't get knit, what I knit instead, and then at the end, I have some charts and some stats so we can kind of like compare and look at why, not why, but see if we can find a why. I think I know what the why is for why some things got changed, but I'm a yarn first knitter, and that's really the biggest thing. So I'll mention first, because the last time I wore this, I forgot to mention, I got a lot of comments. This is the Anchor Top T, whatever the DK weight version is by Petite Knit. It's knit in a thrifted yarn that I got that's half bamboo, half merino. The tan dyed, I can't remember the exact name. Um, but I love this one. It's very cozy. And we're getting a little bit cooler out, so I can actually wear it again after those peak warm weather months. So let's get into the meat of it. The first thing is my overall goals. So my first goal was to expand the overall number of summer knits that I had. That one's pretty general. I didn't have many summer knits before. It wasn't something that I had really gotten into as significantly. So that was a priority for me. I definitely successfully did that. And I feel good about that. And the second goal kind of goes along with this, and that was to pick wearable designs. Pick designs that I can feasibly wear day to day comfortably, that don't need a lot of extra things to be comfortable in, that aren't too thick or heavy or in the wrong fiber, that are itchy or too warm. And I also think that was overall a success. I definitely learned a few things. There are a few things that I changed as I went through the season, that I kind of figured out what was better and what was worse. I did make a few exceptions of more fun pieces that require a little bit more figuring out to wear, but you got to have some of those. If that's where life leads you, you've got to bring in some of that joy. But for the most part, I think I definitely successfully completed that. And the last goal was similarly focus on basics, not do anything too crazy that I was never going to wear. I wanted to pick things that were truly basic for summer, because I, for the most part, really am a basic person when it comes to summertime. I don't get crazy. I maybe wear some dresses. I generally am wearing shorts and a t-shirt. I don't like being hot. And so when I am hot, I want to be wearing like the least annoying clothing possible. We're not going for anything crazy. So I also believe I accomplished that. I stuck to some pretty basic uh, styles and shapes that I could wear comfortably that weren't going to kill me. So that's that. So goals, 100% success rate. Woohoo. So we'll get into plans. And I separated this in my original planning video with firm and possible plans. So we're going to go through it in the same way. And I had 5 firm plans, and I will say I knit every single one of those 5 firm plans. The first one, and I'll include pictures of all of these try-ons if I have them. The first one was the Colette Tee by Sari Nordland. I knit this in Paintbox Cotton DK in the color Slate Green, and that was yarn that I had in stash, which was why that happened. And I really like that piece. I really like that design. I think it's very pretty. I definitely would consider knitting the pullover version, but because I have the t-shirt version, I probably won't knit the pullover version for a while at least. I've done the motif once, need a little break, but I really like it. And I do feel it's wearable. Well, it has a few of those eyelets. They aren't like directly across your chest, so it doesn't feel, and they're not like a whole bunch of them, so it doesn't feel showy or anything like that. Like I don't have to wear anything crazy under it to wear it. I knit that early enough in the season that I did get to wear it a little bit before it got too warm, because it's a DK weight and it's a little tighter on me. My version didn't end up as boxy. Um, so we're getting back into the season that I can wear it again. So I felt that that was a success overall. The next one was the Shell Tee by Wool and Beyond. I knit that in Drops Paris, which is also cotton, in cornflower blue. And I wasn't sure about this one because it's an Aran weight, but because the bottom is like sticks out a lot and is kind of it's not boxy, it's just, well, that's a lot of Aran. It was actually okay with warmer weather. I wore it when it got pretty warm. I didn't wear it as much when it got hot, but it wasn't necessarily because of the weight. It was just because it didn't work with my shorts as well, I felt like. I didn't like the fact that it stuck out at the bottom as much at the beginning, but now I see the merit of it. And I definitely knit that piece again. The next piece that I knit that was a firm plan was Camisole number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I knit this in drop saffron, 100% cotton, in cobalt blue, and I love this piece, and I will definitely knit it again. Not this season, but next year it's definitely a contender. I wore it all the time. It was super comfortable. I knit it in a cotton so that eventually I could feel good about putting it in the washing machine in a garment bag, which I have done, and it was totally fine. And it was just a great piece because it was fingering weight. I could wear it when it got warmer and it wasn't too hot because it was cotton. It was never scratchy. It was really perfect and it wasn't holey. It was a good yarn for that. I highly recommend Drop Saffron. That's like honestly a favorite for me now. It was a good combination of not too much friction in the cotton and not too much slipperiness because some, oh my goodness, sorry about that honk. But it was a good balance and I really liked it. I made some errors with the color pooling that I didn't expect, but it is what it is. I still wear it and I highly recommend that piece. That really is kind of the pivotal point in my summer knitting journey this year. I was realizing how feasible knitting in a fingering weight yarn was, especially in something that doesn't even have sleeves, and how much more wearable it is. So that's kind of when things started to change for me. So the next piece that I finished that was in my firm plans was the Alice Top by Petite Knit. This was for me more of a getting rid of yarn that I had piece. I was using what I had. I knit with brown sheep yarn, brown sheep yarns cotton top, which is discontinued, half wool, half cotton, just because I had it. I picked it up at a thrift store with a strand of the Shibui Knits linen. It's like a chainette linen. Reed, that's what it is, in white. So I was just using what I had. That one turned out all right. It is maybe a little scratchy, but it's not the end of the world. I ended up knitting that one a little too far into the season to wear it more frequently because it's a bulky weight pattern. So maybe next spring, we'll see how it wears next spring. And that one was Petite Knit. The last one that was a firm plan that I did knit, I said was I was going to either knit a Cumulus O-neck or V-neck. I ended up going with the O-neck by Petite Knit. I knit it in an unraveled sweater yarn that was 100% merino. And once again, because this took me a little while, I finished it a little later into the season. So I only wore it like once before it got too warm because it is merino. But now that we're getting into fall time, it's definitely, even though it's merino, light enough weight that I can wear it and it's okay. And as long as you're like aware that you should probably just be wearing the t-shirt and not like a t-shirt and another shirt on top of it, sorry for the beep, then it's fine for the cooler weather and it's not a big deal. So that's how my firm plans went. Now on to my maybes. There are 8 of these, and honestly, I didn't knit any of them. I feel bad, but looking at it, I know why it happened now. So I'll go through these really quick. The first one was the Rabina Tea by Anna Wenzel. This one's really pretty, but it was color work. It was really boxy. It was in a kind of a lightweight yarn, and I think I would rather knit the sweater version. So the next one was the Spring Fling by the Petite Knitter. Once again, color work. I wasn't so sure about that. I just didn't come across yarn that was suited for it, so I didn't go with that one. Next one was the Vine Tea by Seedling Stitch Design. The only reason I didn't knit this was because all the yarn that I came across that I was unraveling from sweaters was pretty lightweight, and I didn't feel like I had enough if I held it double. So, and that is a DK weight pattern or sport. DK or sport, I'm not sure. But I would really like to knit that one next year. That's on my list for if I don't find a yarn, I will buy a yarn to knit that one because I really like that pattern. The next one is the Poet Tea by Sari Nordland. Once again, just didn't come across a lot of DK yarn. I only made 2 new yarn purchases, intentional yarn purchases throughout the season, and that just wasn't on my list of things to prioritize. Side note though, I did see a version on Instagram with, instead of the ribbed neckline, they did a picot neckline and it was extremely cute. I would consider knitting this one, but I'm still not sure about like the lacy front, and I'm not sure if it has shaping. I might be wrong, but I feel like I saw something saying it didn't have shaping, and I'm not sure with a raglan like that if that would fit as well. So the next one was the Umbria Summer Top by Cookie the Knitter. Still love this design, but I knit a ton of broken rib. and I did not want to knit anymore. I was like, oh, have to knit it flat. It would be more broken rib. It just wasn't going to happen. I was tired of it. I think I knit 3 pieces in broken rib. I've got that in the stats later, but there was quite a bit. And I was at the end of my rope, didn't want to knit anymore. So that's why that one happened. Next was the Sakura by Knitting for Breakfast. This one's really pretty. Once again, I wasn't really sure about the lace and the holes. And I think I swatched for it at one point and I didn't like the swatch with the yarn that I had. So I went in a different direction. So that's another piece I'd still consider, but that's why. Then we've got the Cloud Top by Petite Knit. Once again, didn't come across the yarn for it. I did, though, buy on sale some Tin Lena that I'm going to knit the Cloud Tee in next year. That's my plan, at least. I think that's a really cute design. I think it's very, like, the shoulders of it look really well tailored. So maybe I'll knit this one next year, maybe not. And the last one was the June Top by Petite Knit. This was just a maybe because if I came across yarn for it, it's a nice shape, but I didn't. And so I did other things. And I think instead of knitting a June Top by Petite Knit, I'd probably knit another Cami number 9, honestly. I think it's generally a more wearable design for me. So those are all the possibles that I didn't knit. So what did I end up knitting instead? And I've got 7 of those. So we almost replaced all 8 of the maybes. The first one was the Friday Tee by Petite Knit. I really always liked the look of this, and I unraveled a yarn in a peachy color that I didn't really want to knit on its own because I didn't think it would suit me as well. And I realized that I had left over drop saffron in the cobalt blue, and that was an extremely cute combo for the Friday Tee. So that's what I made. I really love how it turned out. It's broken rib. That was where I kind of like lost it with the broken rib. I was done at that point because the peachy yarn was a little hard to work with, so it was kind of hurting my hands, but we made it through and I like the finished product. The next piece was the Barbro Top by Knitting for Olive or Pernille Larsen. This one's knit in Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the color Ballerina. This one was like my fun piece. I liked this pattern and then I was gifted it on Ravelry, so I thought, what the heck? And I decided partway through the year to place a Knitting for Olive order, my first ever, for some summer yarns because I had always wanted to try their pure silk. And I don't feel like there's a lot of other similar yarns that are quite like that for that price on the market. So I ordered 3 quantities for tops. I've knit up 2 of them so far. And one of them was this one. I made some modifications to it. And at the end of the day, I think I've progressively, the more I've tried to wear it, the less I'm liking it. I think that's for a few reasons. Probably my size choice. I went with my normal size choice, but it just feels a little small. I made it shorter. I didn't make it as long because I was worried about stretching, and all of the project pages on Ravelry said it was too long, so I made it a little bit shorter, but I think I made it too short. And the third thing was I made the straps way longer because I kept making them longer and they kept not looking long enough. And even after extending them well beyond even their, if you want more length, add this much. I did like 3 times that. They're still not long enough. It's like I'm pulling it down to try and make it fit my neck well. I don't know. It just wasn't what I expected. So we'll see how that wears next year. I don't know how I feel about that choice, but that was an addition. And then we've got the Anais Tee by Gregoria Fibers. This came about because it was a test knit. I knit it in Rosa Pomar Mungo, which is half wool, half cotton. And I'm okay with this piece. I think I picked the wrong size for the test knit. It has nothing to do with the design. It's a beautiful design. I just don't think I picked the right size for myself. I think I probably read something wrong. So again, mixed feelings on that. We'll see. Then we've got the Twist Loop Top by Other Loops. This was another Knitting for Olive piece for me. I knit it in the Cotton Merino, which is 80%, 70% cotton, 30% merino, I believe. And it's beautiful. I love it. It's in the color Japanese Anemone, which is so gorgeous. I wasn't sure about it at first because I blocked it without pinning it. And then I ended up blocking it again and pinning out the chest part a lot wider. And now it fits perfectly and I love it. I'd consider knitting it again. I'd probably like to knit the sweater, but it's in a fingering weight. So that might take forever. So I love that piece. Then we've got the Cami number 4 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I didn't knit this for myself. I knit it for a friend. So that's a little different. It was in Drop Saffron in the red clay color. So fingering weight, cotton again. I sent that to her. I don't think she's gotten it yet because I sent it kind of late, but we'll see. I'm happy with how it turned out. Once again, double broken rib. Then we've got Cami number 7 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. More broken rib. And this one was knit in an unraveled sweater yarn that was 100% linen. And I love how this piece turned out. If I was going to knit it again, I'd probably do the straps a little bit shorter, but it's hard when you're working top down because you don't really know. I could probably go in and mod it to make them a little bit shorter, but I don't really care yet. So maybe next year, but I really like that one. It's very nice and loose. The fabric is beautiful. I would totally knit it again. And then the last piece was the Plain Yoke T20 by Lane Knit. This was another, I had the yarn, so I made it happen piece. I knit it in the Universal Yarns Clean Cotton, which is mostly cotton, I think 80%, and then like 20% polyester. I bought it for a different project and then I wanted to use it up, and I'm not a big fan. I wouldn't recommend. And then I used the leftover of the Brown Sheep cotton top. It was half cotton, half wool for the bottom portion, just because I ran out and I didn't want to buy more of that other color. So it is what it is. And I actually like that piece. It is heavy, but because it sticks out a little bit on the body, it doesn't like constrict and make you feel like you're warming up. Like if you're walking around, there's going to be some airflow. So I feel good about that. So overall, I think the biggest thing for me was I realized that I was totally capable of knitting in lighter weight yarns for summer pieces. And so I kind of transitioned into that. The other part was definitely just what kind of yarn I had, what kind of yarn I came across. And that's sort of the direction that I ended up going. So those are the things that I think influenced me. So now let me get out these charts that I will show you that I'm going to look at here of the breakdown of how everything went. So I knit only 2 styles of pieces this season, and that was tank top or t-shirt. And it was 50-50 even, totally unintentional. But that makes sense. I probably wear them both evenly, so that was kind of fun. And then fibers used, I included cotton wool blends as one category because there were a couple that were just cotton wool blends. So we did 8.3% linen, 8.3% silk, which is, I guess, one each, 8.3% just wool. Am I reading that right? I am. That was the Cumulus O-neck. That's what that is. So one wool piece, and then we've got 41.7% cotton and 33.3% cotton wool blend. So predominantly cotton, with the cotton wool blend coming in second. That makes sense. I'm a cotton girly. Next, colors. So we've got orange, tan, and green. Why did I make the orange slice pink? I don't know. Don't ask me. Those are all 8.3, so there was one of each of those. And then we've got 33% blue and 41.7% pink. That makes sense. I tend to gravitate towards those 2 colors because I love pink and blue is just so wearable. Next, we've got the texture category, 8.3% lace, so just one piece, 25% broken rib. See, there was a lot of it. 16.7% cables. I put that in. I know those have other elements to them, but just for it has cables in it. And then 50% stockinette. That makes sense. I went for the basics. And last, for knits that I knit, the weights used, we did 8.3% for both DK and Aran weight and bulky weight. So one piece of each of those 3. 25% fingering, 16.7% worsted, and 33.3% light fingering. So contrary to what I originally expected, I went big on light fingering and fingering weight. That's a lot. And that makes sense. I think those are the most wearable, but I didn't knit nearly as much DK as I expected. Now I did 2 charts or 3 charts for things that I didn't knit, all those possible things that I didn't knit. So let's look at those compared to what I did end up knitting. So instead of the 50-50 tank top and t-shirt that I originally planned, or that I ended up knitting, the ones that I didn't knit were 25% tank tops and 75% t-shirts. So the ones I didn't knit were predominantly t-shirts. I think I did lean into the tank tops as summer went on. It was getting hotter. I knew that that was probably what was going to get worn more, so that makes sense. I wasn't prioritizing the t-shirts. And then if we look at texture, the ones that I didn't end up knitting were 37.5% stockinette, 25% lace, 12.5% broken rib, and 25% color work. So I think I pretty much ditched all the colorwork plans. Lace, similarly, didn't do as much lace. Broken rib, that was just a byproduct. And then stockinette, that's just because there were a handful of stockinette pieces in there. So that makes sense. I think the color work is the biggest note there, that I just decided that it wasn't worth it. And then lastly, weights used in the pieces that I didn't knit was DK 50%, fingering 25, and sport 25. I think sport for me is a kind of a weird weight that I don't find very often. You can't usually make finger weight work for sport, I feel like, and DK ends up being too heavy. I don't know, it's kind of weird. But definitely, like I said, predominantly DK that I didn't end up finding or using, and that's sort of where we went with that. But that's how my plans panned out. If you're interested in what I'm knitting for the cold weather season, I've got a planning video up on that, and there's lots of podcasts about what I have been working on, because I've definitely got a lot of stuff on the needles. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd love a like and a subscribe. Let me know what you worked on this spring and summer, how many pieces you got done. I definitely cranked out a lot, but I was unemployed. Now I'm not, so we'll see how that all goes. But I hope you enjoyed and have a great day. Happy knitting.